Eastern Conference Finals. And so it's been a long time here. Are the Pistons in trouble now after a Game 1 loss in the way they looked against the Orlando Magic, Stephen A?
They're not in trouble because they lost Game 1. They're in trouble because of how, which is something that we've lamented about the Pistons all year long as we've watched them capture the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, as we watched them continue to win even when Cade Cunningham went down with the partially collapsed lung, as we watched them as J.B. Bickerstaff proved to be the coach of the year. He got my vote. Here's the reality of the situation. After Cade Cunningham, who can you rely on to score the basketball? That's a problem. There were other problems yesterday. I watched this from start to finish, Wendy. Watching Orlando lead from start to finish, they never trailed. Watching Detroit, you know what, never really able to make a run because Orlando just kept staving them off, was incredibly alarming to see. The inability to put the ball in the hole, to gain any kind of traction. And most importantly, when you did make a couple of shots or whatever, Orlando would come right back and do the same. You have 5 starters, all in double figures, okay? Led by Paolo Banchero, who I like a lot, and finished with 23 points, 53% shooting. You weren't able to stop him. I'm looking at Detroit, and I'm like, where's that other dude? Last year, even though they lost home games to the New York Knicks, I remember when Malik Beasley was there, and that meant everything to them. It was a big, big deal, and it helped them immensely. That's not necessarily the case this year. And I think that right now, looking for Jalen Duren is going to be a big-time player in this league. He already is formidable, no doubt about it. But he's not somebody that you want to rely upon to be your secondary offensive scorer for you. You need somebody at the 3 spot or somebody on an additional guard that's going to help Cade Cunningham in the open court really make stuff happen. That is not what we've seen from the Detroit Pistons. And unless we get something else, they're not gonna make it very far. They should beat Orlando. But it is a problem for them to score the ball. That's a huge, huge deal. And it better be something they rectify quick, fast, and hurry. Remember, the game slows down in the postseason. It slows down. You're playing more half-court sets, and you got to be able to produce offensively under those conditions. That doesn't seem to be Detroit's strength right now. At least that's what Orlando tried to expose yesterday. So we'll see where they go from here.
Yeah, first off, a tip of the cap, obviously, to Orlando. You could have done a documentary about their last week, Shay. They have an embarrassing loss in Boston, get blown out in Philadelphia. Everybody thinks their season's cooked. Then they respond with one of their best games of the year to get into the playoffs. And then they keep it going with no prep time and have a terrific win in Detroit. Like, absolutely incredible performance from them down the line with like 1-8 on their team. But if you were a non-believer in the Pistons, and I've seen many, many teams lose game 1 of a series and come back and win. I'm not necessarily talking about this series, as Stephen A. alluded to there. But if you were a non-believer in the Pistons, this game backed up everything you don't believe in them in, okay? And Cade was great. Cade had 39 points in this game, 13 of 27. Like, that is quality play by your MVP candidate. Stephen A., he set up 16 teammates for assist opportunities. 16 assist opportunities, 4 assists. 4 out of 16 off his. That just doesn't work. And here's the thing. Jalen Duren, who I voted for most improved player, I voted for third-team All-NBA. I am a big believer in Jalen Duren. 4 shots, Stephen A.
So am I.
Yeah. 4 shots, okay? And he gets roundly outplayed by Wendell Carter. Now, Wendell Carter played a great game. You cannot get roundly outplayed by Wendell Carter. You just can't have it. And so I have no doubt that Duren is going to bounce back. But you're talking about finding another guard to help him. Dennis Jenkins, he was 1 of 7 yesterday, and it really hurt the Pistons that Dennis Jenkins had a bad game. Their whole bench had a bad game. But this is kind of the point. Dennis Jenkins started the season as a two-way player. No offense to him. He's an incredible story. They upgraded him to a regular contract midway through the season. They're at the point, Stephen A., where they're very reliant on a guy like Dennis Jenkins to have a good game because they need somewhere else for the offensive creation to come from. Here's the other thing. They were 28th in the league in 3-point shooting in total in number of makes. So when their offense isn't going, they can't really get bailed out. You mentioned not having Malik Beasley. That is exactly correct. It's not even just their percentage. It's one thing if you hit 33%, but at least you make 15 threes. They were 28th in the league in threes at 11 a game. They didn't even make 11 yesterday. So they have no margin for error offensively, and that came up to bite them in game 1.
Here's the deal. Bain shot 1 of 8. Desmond Bain shot 1 of 8 from three-point range, and they still won. The Pistons, we've been raving about their size, their physicality all year long, particularly when they went against my Knicks, obviously. They show up yesterday, and they get beat up 54-34 in the paint. That's how much they got outscored. And when you talk about Cade Cunningham, Tobias Harris had 17 points. Nobody else for the Pistons scored in double figures. Nobody. That's not going to beat the Orlando Magic. So again, we might think this is an aberration, and maybe it is. Or what if we come to find out that Orlando is indeed the more physical team? I can't imagine that being the case. But if they continue to out-physical Detroit, then Detroit is going to be in a world of trouble. I don't think they can afford to go down 0-2 to Orlando. Most importantly, I don't think it can happen courtesy of being out-physicaled. You've got to show up and show that the Rough Riders reside in the Motor City. That's the reputation y'all built up for yourselves over the last 2 years. Where the hell was that Sunday afternoon? It was nowhere to be found. That cannot happen again at any point in this series. If you give Orlando life even more than they have, you're going to be in a world of trouble. And the quickest way for them to do that is to know that they're the ones who are the big bad bullies, not you. If they establish that.
I love it. 35-5. What a debut for Victor.
NBA analyst Monica McNutt with us now. And Monica, man, every time I see Wemby play, I kind of think of that Lil Wayne line when he said, "We are not the same, I am a Martian." Because every time I see this man play, he is truly out of this world. So how do you put his playoff debut into perspective?
Well, Scooby, I think you just look at the history that he was able to make in that debut. The first Spurs to have 35 points in a postseason debut. Like, added to the list of superlatives that we continue to associate with Victor Wembanyama. In the course of the basketball game, I thought the three-point shooting was so impressive, going 5 of 6 from deep. And once he settled down after that first quarter, the physicality that the Portland Trailblazers attempt to offer, and just the general nerves, because he still is human, no matter how extra otherworldly he is, I thought he did a great job of just playing basketball. He seemed comfortable out there. I thought his teammates were balanced. And we'll continue to see if this is the type of performance that we get from him consistently.
Yeah, one piece of advice that he said he got from Hakeem the Dream in his interview with Malika Andrews was, hey, you don't have to wait to win. And it seems like the Spurs are ready to get it going. But over in the East, for the first time in the play-by-play era, a one seed did not lead at any point in their playoff opener. The Orlando Magic seemed to catch the Pistons lacking. So are you concerned about Detroit here? And could they actually lose this series against an 8 seed?
I don't expect Detroit to lose, but I do think this is the worst matchup that Detroit could have drawn in the first round. There's a little bit of an asterisk for maybe a healthy Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers, but these teams, in many ways, mirror one another. Now, granted, the Orlando Magic as an 8 seed underachieved in the eyes of many as you came into this season as far as the expectations of this core that should have been taken a step further from last season. But when I look at the physicality, when I look at the size, when I look at the three-point shooting, actually in favor of the Magic, right? So I just think that this is going to be a tough matchup. Yes, the seedings are 1 and 8, but I do think that this is one that could easily go 7 games because the Magic are as comfortable in a physical, low-scoring type of battle as the Pistons.